yeah, I apologize for that.
This might be the best description of a mammal in the history of anything. A small, short-legged, and virtually tailless, egg-shaped mammal. Wow. That's what a pike is.
Sure are.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 49 of Podcast Reload, a general gaming podcast where we invite Sifted.net community guests from around the world onto the show to talk about video games and the games industry in all its weird ways. I am your host, the Seoul, Japan dweller, Evan Piotrowski, and joining us today are two Sifted community guests, Tom, aka Cartoon Tom from the UK.
Hello.
And Joe, aka OTTAPPS. Also from the UK.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Good. So, first time in a long time, we actually have two new guests on the show. So I really appreciate Tom and Joe. Thank you for finally dipping your toe in the lukewarm waters of Podcast Reload.
It's not a problem. It's a pleasure.
And Joe, we might as well settle how you actually pronounce your username. I know that Shane on GameFace has said OTTAPPS, and that's how I thought it was pronounced. How do you actually pronounce it?
Well, initially it's OTTAPPS. OTT standing for over the top. But Shane christened it OTTAPPS, and I quite like OTTAPPS. So please feel free to refer to me as that if you ever speak to me or you're verbally shouting at me at your computer because I've said something stupid.
OTTAPPS,
you prick! Anything like that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And all right. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. I really looking forward to having new guests on the show. Moving on Podcast Reload, we are making a vault fit for the most noteworthy, historically important, prestigious games, or just a game that you really like. And we're gonna make a list. So if you could pick one game to put in a giant video game vault to survive an earthly cataclysm in order for future generations to play and learn from, what game would you choose? So I think I will start off with Tom.
Okay.
Tom, what game are you throwing in the video game vault this week?
Okay. Well, what an honor to be the first.
God damn it! I wanted to be the
Very
first.
first.
I'm
sorry.
I'm joking.
I was quite tempted to, use this opportunity to pick something like, really obscure or something that only I would ever pick. But I thought,
right.
it's
tempting.
Seeing
it's
as
tempting.
I'm the first, I don't want to completely go off the rails straight away before it's even started. So I thought I'll pick a nice safe bet, which is going to be Skyrim. And one of the reasons I want to pick that game now is because I think at the moment, like, a lot of people are kind of rolling their eyes at Skyrim, and it's kind of being a bit of a butt of the joke kind of thing of it's being released on everything sort of thing.
Like, and it's actually been released twice this year, right? Once for VR, once on the Switch. Right?
And then it was and then was the special edition is just about a year old now, sort of this time last year. So I don't know. I wanted to just toss a bone at Skyrim for a bit of love because it's getting dragged through the mud a little bit maybe at the moment, or people just rolling their eyes at it sort of thing. So yeah, I thought I'd give it.
But
some
I
love.
think the fact that it's been released that many times says something about the long life and quality of the game.
Definitely. Like.
Right.
I mean, I don't have a Switch yet, but I'm sure I will do one day. And yeah, I'm looking forward to getting Skyrim on it because it's just one of those things that in between, releases, you can just pick it up and just sort of, carry on with like one of the quests or whatever. And then, when another game comes down, you can just put it down or, it's just one of those games that goes on forever kind of.
Yeah, it's one of those games that you say Skyrim and everyone's like, yep, yeah, that is definitely a game to throw in the vault. I've actually never played Skyrim.
Well,
I know. That's
oh dear.
That's Some people immediately 3 out of the 4 people that listen to this podcast have taken their headphones off or shut the app down or whatever. Yeah, I've never played Skyrim. Yeah, it's played Fallout.
So now it's in the vault, Evan. You've got to play it now. It's in the vault.
Is that one of the rules?
Well, maybe it should be, but I feel like Skyrim you definitely should. But you've got so many platforms to choose from. You've got Switch, PlayStation, Xbox. If you've got one of those, what would you looking at if you was going to play it? Do you think you would choose the Switch one over the PS4 or perhaps a PC?
No, I think I would go for the PS4 because you can put mods in, because I think that game kind of looks like shit now.
It'll look fine on the Switch.
I suppose so, but I just the textures and like looking at it now in 2017, it's just everything looks so kind of muddy in the faces and stuff. And I think having mods to play, putting mods on, like I don't even know what mods they have out there, but I've heard that some people are so adamant about playing it with mods that they won't play it without them, and that just seems like that might give me a reason to play, like add more greenery, more text, more textures. I don't know, updated textures. I don't know exactly what mods they have out there. I sound like such I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about, and I actually don't know what I'm talking about.
The best mod I've seen is that you can turn the dragons into Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh, I've seen that one. Yeah. So yeah, that's basically why I want to play on the PS4, because the Macho Man.
You got to get him
that thing is that thing is made of nightmares. By the way, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I've seen some videos of that, but yeah, highly moddable game. But yeah, I think I'd play it on the PS4 if anything. But yeah, I've never played it. I know I'm going to get some shit from some people, probably specifically Burkoff, Matt. But no, from what I know of Skyrim, just from absorbing information and videos on it over the last 12 years or whatever. Wait, when did that game come out?
2011.
2005?
It was 11, wasn't it?
Oh, that's it.
Why did I say 12 years? Wow, I really don't know what I'm talking about.
How many beers did you had?
2. Let the record show. So, having absorbed so much about Skyrim just because of how prolific it is, and it's just part of it's one of the highlights in gaming history. I would say. I think a lot of people agree with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it definitely should go in the vault. All right, good choice. The official first game of the Podcast Reload video game vault is Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Is that right?
That's it.
And the second game to be locked away for future generations to play is what, Joe?
It's going to be, this is a very personal pick, but it's going to be Metal Gear Solid, the original.
It's a good choice.
PlayStation 1 jobby. Before playing MGS, I'm playing like excellent video games like Super Mario World, I was in love with, Streets of Rage 2, Street Fighter, Sonic, all these fantastic video games that had come before it. And then Metal Gear Solid comes along, and not only is it a great video game, like at a primitive level, so the gameplay, the bosses, stealth, breaking soldiers' necks, it's all fun at that level, but it introduces superb voice acting, brilliant cutscene direction, and an engaging story to go along with it. So it kind of creates a complete package that I felt was finally competing with the likes of a film or a TV series. And before Metal Gear Solid, I was just happy to collect coins or beat people up or just collect rings, just for little or no other reason than the enjoyment of doing that. Metal Gear Solid arrives and completely changes my expectations for what a video game could potentially aspire to be. And for that reason alone, it has to go as my pick to go into the video game vault.
Yeah, I think it's a great choice. Yeah, I think we all remember the first time we played that, the run up to Snake and his little hydro thing, infiltrating the base from the water, and then the credits playing as you're playing that kind of introductory stage before the elevator takes you up to the open air Shadow Moses. Like that was the first time I had seen any of that. And as you're going up the elevator, he kind of takes off his mask and stuff, and then you see Snake for the first time, and then it says, "Boom, Metal Gear Solid, tactical espionage."
It's directed so well. It's just for a video game at that time. I was like, wow, that is something I've not seen before and done that.
No,
well.
I'd never seen anything like it, and that's why I have such I have such a specific memory of seeing that. It was just it was something new. It was something different, and then the game itself was was amazing. It's maybe a bit difficult to go back to now.
Yeah.
But, you know, one interesting thing though is graphically, I quite like it. I think it really, you know how pixel art games have aged better than early 3D games. Like you look at like Banjo-Kazooie and you're like, oh my god, that game looks like garbage. But then you kind of look at Mario World and it's like, oh, it's timeless. There's something about Metal Gear Solid that I think is timeless. Like I think it looks good. Like I like the pixely shadowed eyes. I like the look. I like the look of like heavy pixels on like a very basic 3D model.
Yeah.
There's just something about it that's just really stands out to me. It's a unique look, I think, even now looking back at it after so many years.
Yeah, it's just I just love it. I think it's brilliant, and it, like I said, because it kind of raised the ceiling of, you know, what I could see a video game becoming. I thought no longer have. I mean, I love collecting the coins. I love playing Mario and that, but this was offering a complete package. So absolutely, it's a fantastic game.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll always remember though, I was in 8th grade and my friend beat the game, and after you beat the game, it tells you because David Hayter voiced Snake. In the game, at the end of the game, he talks with, I think it's either Otacon or Meryl, and he says his first name is David, right?
Yeah.
And then they ride off into the sun up. I don't think the sun's
snow,
setting.
Isn't there in Alaska? There's not really a lot going on.
Yeah, they're like on a ski. It's like over an icy lake or something on the jet, not a jet ski, whatever those things are called, the snow ski.
Yeah.
That's not what it's called. But anyways, he says his name's David, and one of my best friends in grade school is David, and he on the playground the day after he beat it, he's like, hey, and we thought like Solid Snake was like the most badass guy. Like he got Meryl, he was the strongest, he was the smartest, he was best with a gun, all that type of thing. He's like, hey, did you know Solid Snake's real name is David, like me? I was like, oh my god. Fucking cool, man. But whatever. Okay. All right. So the first edition of the Video Game Vault, the first 2 games in the vault, Elder Scrolls V Skyrim and Metal Gear Solid. Congratulations, guys.
Brilliant.
You set a precedent. Now everyone else has to think long and hard about their respective games they're going to throw in the vault.
It's very easy.
I'll throw one in some point.
Yeah, but it's very easy being on the first one of that, because I imagine as the weeks pile up and there's a dozen games in there may be people struggling to think of stuff that's worthy of going in the vault. You don't want to chuck any old shit in there. Yeah,
it's like something really original. I'm gonna put in Link to the Past. No, actually, I would totally put in Link to the Past. But yeah, as the weeks go on, it's gonna get harder and harder. Yeah. But I think that'll be interesting because it's just gonna push people past the obvious choices, and we're gonna start getting more fringe with it. But yeah, it's
what if there's only a certain amount of space in the video game vault?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I might start a thread on like the rules of the video game vault.
Yeah.
We'll see what people have to say. I will say now, we'll hold some things up to vote. You guys can make up your own rules, but I can override everything.
Yeah.
But I want to see if anyone thinks there should be rules to the video game vault. Like you can't do this, you can't do this. There's only so many. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But anyways, let's move on to the meat of the show. Let's move on to our topics. So Tom, why don't you tell us what your topic of the show is?
Okay. So I thought, what with the Game Awards coming up, it would be maybe good to have a little talk about that. See what what we would have picked for some of these categories, or what we predict who we think is going to win, or I don't know. Yeah, have a little chit chat.
Yeah, I think it's probably best for us to, because there's so many awards, to highlight some of the more notable awards.
Yep.
And I think we've kind of wrestled down about 4 of the awards that are maybe the most notable. So let's I don't know, Tom, where do you want to start?
Let's have a go at best art direction.
Best art. Okay, so the games nominated for best art direction are Cuphead, Destiny 2, Horizon Zero Dawn, Persona 5, and Breath of the Wild. So Tom, what are you thinking? What are the standouts here?
For me, I think there's a clear winner here.
All right. Okay. Do you guys want to say? Do you want to say the name at the same time?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Let's do it.
All right.
Okay. So we'll do not with 3, 2, 1 name.
Yeah,
okay.
cool.
3, 2, 1.
Cuphead.
Cuphead. Oh shit! I was quick. that didn't work at all. Did we all say Cuphead?
Yep.
Okay. Wow. So yeah, that's what I think should win and will win.
Definitely.
So Tom, why do you think it should win?
I mean, just because obviously just the style of it is just so ingenious, really, just and clever, and just loads of detail and stuff. And it's just a really unique style, really. I mean, I was wondering, like, I mean, the only other thing I could see other people being really passionate about was maybe Persona 5, which for me personally, like, I don't really like anything about anime stuff, which I know a lot of other people do, and that's cool. But like, but for me with Persona 5, like, even just that like intro trailer kind of thing, like there's lots of stuff. There's loads of like cool transitions and like, and I know people have really raved about the UI design and stuff. And like with that game, for me, like every time it does something amazing, like it's always one step forward, one step back kind of thing. Because
right,
I know, like, just seeing footage of the game, on like Game Face and things like that. I presume it's like a reoccurring thing where it's like the main character's like running around like Tokyo, and then there's this kind of like pizza slice, kind of this triangle on the side, like it kind of like rips out like a comic book sort of panel, and there's all like paper and stuff, like, and it's just this little picture in picture. But then behind it, it's like the blonde girl that's in your party, and she's kind of looking annoyed and got the whole wobbly like anime eye kind of thing, and that's what I mean. Like, it's kind of like, oh, that's a really cool like transition, and there's so much like style and to it kind of thing. But then it just reveals this like generic looking anime chick character, and it's just kind of like, for me, that's the kind of one step forwards, one step back kind of thing that I kind of feel about it. Whereas I think, yeah, you go for it.
I was gonna say one thing about Persona 5 now. Giant Bomb, they do a year end kind of games of the year, like 5-day long podcasting
yes,
deal where they kind of make up their own arbitrary awards, which I like, because it's not just most anticipated game or best esports game or best action game. One that they've done for several years is the game with the most style.
Yeah, thought we were going there. Yeah.
Insert as many Y's and L's as you want in that. And I think that Persona 5 would hands down win that award. When you talk about the UI and just how it interacts with the song, like the art style melds so well with the music, and when you the victory music in conjunction with after you beat the enemies, it kind of transitions into the character walking to the left as like all the experience and all the items that you got pop up.
Okay.
And it's just like that game has style for days. Like that UI is amazing. So I think that Persona 5 would win Game with the Most Style award. But when you talk about art direction, I just think this kind of 1950s Disney kind of Steamboat Willie style art is perfectly recreated in this game. Like the animation is absolutely amazing. Like it looks like it came from that era.
Like a cartoon,
there's nothing.
It looks like a cartoon that you can play, essentially.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that you see and you are immediately just your jaw drops like, wow, how did they do that? And it's playable. You're playing it. You're manipulating, Mugman and Cuphead through these levels, and it's just like a seamlessly played, cartoon that's playable. It's I think it's the standout of that. And I like this is. I'll put myself out there because it's not like who cares. I'm not losing any money. I think this is going to win hands down. We're not. Let's not put percentages on all of these, but I think that this is going to beat out all of those, at least for best art direction.
Yes.
Also, because I don't know if Cuphead is going to win many other awards, so it'd probably be best for them to highlight the art in the game, which is one of the most standout features of the game. I mean, when everyone saw the game, it's like, oh, the art's amazing. That's the first thing that you notice about that game.
It's when people fell in love with it.
All right.
See that art, and I was like, wow, this just looks fantastic. So
yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's move on to. Do you want to do best narrative? Have we played enough from here to have opinions about these games?
Well, you see, I love a good story in a game, and I've only played one of those. And a subject that might come up later will be, which ones I have missed. A lot of them will fall into from this list. Obviously, Horizon Zero Dawn has I think, a reasonably good kind of story, and obviously we'll refrain from spoiling what it is, because not only because Tom playing it, but others that haven't. But I'm more interested. This is kind of like my go-to list to see, which games I potentially may have missed. So I know that Hellblade has had some fantastic write-ups in terms of its narrative direction, not only because of how it performs, but the subject matter it's dealing with. And I think that's something that we don't do enough of in games. We don't always tackle subject matter that is on the more serious side and do it well. I think there's been attempts at things like this in previous games, and it's not quite gone as well. But it sounds like, from what I'm hearing, Hellblade is tackling something that's heavy and doing it in a good place. Nier, I don't know enough about that, nor What Remains of Edith Finch, but Wolfenstein, I'm familiar with that franchise, and I can see why that's sitting on there.
Yeah, I've only played. I played the New Order and the Old Blood,
yes.
And so this is Wolfenstein 2 is a continuation of that story. I see why it's on there. The only game I've played out of all of these is Horizon Zero Dawn, and I think it's going to win for a couple reasons. One, I think the story is great.
Yeah.
Great as in, like, not necessarily unique, like, oh, okay, the world went to shit and machines took it over, but the why is really, really interesting. And it's just that carrot on this stick that's just, it's propels you through that game. It's like, what happened to this world? Why is it like this? And the reason why I like it so much is I think the answer to that question is 100% satisfying to me, which is hard to do.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's like, your imagination is what could be is better than what is. And a lot of times it's like, oh, is that what happened? Oh, okay, I guess so. But that's not the case with Horizon Zero Dawn for me. I was completely satisfied with what you find out what happens in that game, and I think they'll be awarded for that. Another reason why I think that it's going to win is because I think that Breath of the Wild is in a lot of categories alongside Horizon Zero Dawn, and I think that Breath of the Wild is going to win those categories. So I think that the narrative is one place that can shine over Breath of the Wild.
Yeah,
but
I think it's
Tom. I don't know. Have you played any of these other games on here? I've only played Horizon.
No, I mean, so yeah, I'm only sort of halfway through Horizon. I did last night in preparation for the podcast. I thought I checked out the Wolfenstein 2 and Nier Automata demos, but obviously they're only incredibly short experiences that I haven't really got anything to say about the story so much. But going back to Horizon as well, I've heard a lot of people praise also just like Aloy's personal story in that game, as well as
that is definitely part of it,
as well as the sort of questions about the world and how and why, sort of. So that's sort of just another reason that put it in good stead.
Yeah, I will say I haven't played Nier Automata yet, but from what I've heard about the game, I heard that story goes places. Like people saying, okay, beat the game and then get ending B and C and D and hope. Like apparently there's a lot of crazy revelatory ideas in that game that I've heard so much about that game, quote unquote, going places, that I will play it. I don't know if I'm going to play it by the end of the year, but because I've heard so many people echo that idea, that maybe that that could elevate it. I mean, it's obviously been nominated for best narrative because of that, but it seems like there's something going on with that game story that's unique enough for so many people to say that you need to play Nier because of X, Y, and Z. And most of the X, Y, and Z that they're talking about is story based.
Yeah, it seems like the type of thing that maybe you could only do with a video game as well, which is always kind of cool. If it's something,
it's
kind of
nice
narrative
because
that is unique to this medium. I think is kind of always a cool thing as well.
Yeah, take advantage of the medium. It doesn't have to be a movie. It can be a bit of both. It can be interactive, as well as more whatever cinematic, like a movie is. Okay, so we got best art direction, best narrative. What do you guys want to tackle next? Best game direction? This is kind of a weird one because what are we talking about when it game direction? Let's skip that. I don't know if there's necessary.
There's probably.
Oh, okay. How about best handheld? All right, so okay. All right, how about best handheld? Okay, so quickly, best handheld, Metroid: Return to Samus, hands down. That game is going to win. The game is fucking amazing. I wasn't too happy about the art style and the low poly and the blurry textures and all that's the presentation of it, but the game itself is Metroidvania. It's everything I love about the Metroid series, and it's really, really good. So I think it's going to win. Mm-hmm. So, okay, before we tackle Game of the Year, which is the big one, let's go to most anticipated game.
Oh, I thought we was going to do best for Chinese game, which is one of the categories this year. Shit. I can't believe you do that, Evan.
I'm sorry. Okay. I just I'm sorry. I don't know. I was going to go. I'm sorry. You caught me off guard.
What a strange cat.
Nothing to say. Yeah. It really is.
I know why.
It's one of those things
money, but...
right. But like out of any country, yeah, it's just. But it's also a category that, like, a lot of people in Western territories that are watching their awards just won't be really familiar with. But on the other side of that, I'm really interested to see like what wins from that category, right?
What's big in China?
But yeah, it's a weird addition, I think. But all right, so let's move on to most anticipated game.
Yes.
So in this category, we have God of War, Marvel's Spider-Man, Monster Hunter World, Red Dead Redemption 2, and The Last of Us Part 2. So, Tom, what do you think? What stands out to you in this category here?
I'd say the two for me would be Red Dead 2 and God of War. God of War is interesting. I'm one of those people in the boat of I've never been interested in a God of War game. Like any,
you've never played any of the games?
No, and I think I played the demo of 3 on the PS3, but I kind of I played it. I kind of thought it's not really my type of thing. Like, I don't know, it didn't particularly grab me. But straight away, like this new they're giving it the new perspective and stuff. Like this seems something that's like very much down my street. The only thing I would say about in terms of my anticipation for it is which is kind of a thing that's affecting quite a few games, I think, and I don't know even if other people agree, but with like the demos that we've seen, a lot of people have kind of say, oh, it's following the Tomb Raider like formula, or these Tomb Raider reboots kind of, and like I definitely kind of get that vibe, but with so I've only played the first of the Tomb Raider reboots, and I found with that game, when it leaves you to your own devices and it's more of a Metroidvania kind of game, like that's when I really loved that game. But when it's doing the sort of set piece moment, kind of, pushing you along, like those were the bits that like I didn't like as much. But the thing is,
it's interesting. It's interesting you say that because I've played through both of the newer Tomb Raider games, and the kind of the open, look at the environment, figure out what you need to do, go here, find a new path, figure out some sort of physics based puzzle, and then find a tomb, and like all that stuff is what interested me about those two games. It was the most intriguing part about.
But the thing with E3 demos, they obviously want to show off the set piece, scripted kind of moments. So when I'm looking at this God of War, it's like, oh, it looks really cool, but then it's sort of like, this is probably one of the moments that I'm going to like the least in the game. Like, I want to see what happens outside of this scripted. Like, that's probably what would be more exciting to me. But then, for a demo kind of scenario, or just for other people, that's probably like would be like a boring bit to show if there's lots of downtime and just sort of wondless exploration.
That's the sucky thing. That's the the other side of the coin with demos is they're going to show these, like even with Marvel's Spider-Man. Like I've been a huge Spider-Man fan since I was a kid. Like I collected the comics. All I would do is draw Spider-Man all over my textbooks. Yeah. But then all they do is they show you all the bits that take the control away from you. And it's just like, this is well and fine, but like 98% of this game will be played by me, and the other 2% are these cinematic sections.
So that's what they're showing.
You're showing me the parts that I'm not even going to be in control of. So, but I understand why they do it, but I agree with you. It's kind of like you see these things like, this is all well and fun, but how does it play? What am I actually going to be looking at when I have the controller in my hand and I'm playing? So there is that. Yeah, I do get that. Well, okay, so Red Dead 2 and God of War. Joe, how about yourself?
Yeah, obviously they're all fantastic games. I would also say Red Dead 2 is one of them. Love Red Dead 1. I love what Rockstar do as a studio, so that's always going to be a banker, and that's in there. Typically, it would be The Last of Us 2, but I know the game. I know, their most anticipated game. I kind of look at this as a window for what's going to come out next year, and that's not the way they've kind of positioned it. I look at The Last of Us Part 2, and it's hard for me to get excited thinking we're probably at least 2 years away from that. So I can that, and I've gone for Monster Hunter World. I think that looks fantastic. I've never played a Monster Hunter game before. I mean, primarily they've been on 3DS for the last sort of 5-6 years. And when I bought my Switch, I thought, great, the next Monster Hunter game is going to come to Switch, and I'm going to be able to finally get involved in this franchise that I've been missing. And then Capcom come and announce that Monster Hunter World's going to come to consoles, and it looks very, very good. I love the look of this. I love all the media that they've put out for Monster Hunter World. and I think I'm going to have a really good time playing through this. And I'd love to get 2 or 3 others to buddy up with and go through it with, because it seems like it's going to be a blasting co-op. And you're referring to showing bits and pieces of the game that you can't actually play. Capcom have been showing you tons and tons and tons of gameplay from this, so you can see how it feels and how it looks. So yeah, Monster Hunter World's definitely my second pick.
Well, I've never played a Monster Hunter game, and there's aspects of the games that it's like, this kind of reminds me of Final Fantasy 12 in a weird way, and I really like that game. And this might be the first game or first Monster Hunter game that I jump into, and this, it's like, I'm trying to think, wait, am I going to do like an online multiplayer thing? Like,
scary, isn't it?
I don't know. Like, if you're saying that, you want to jump in and we can do so, if that's a thing you can do in that game, like, I don't know, I might jump in and do that. I mean, it's definitely a game that's on my list. Like, Monster Hunter has never been in my radar, and I think this is actually kind of, a lot of people have been singing this song to where I've heard people say, but I've never really been interested in Monster Hunter, but there's something about World, like, now it's on the PlayStation 4, and this looks like a bigger game, and they've ironed out not all the issues. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of like kind of archaic mechanics and UI issues and stuff like that. Like all the menu based systems are a bit much for people to handle, but it seems like it's the most it's probably the Monster Hunter game that non-Monster Hunter fans could get into.
Seems like it's definitely going to open it up hopefully to a new audience rather than the dedicated hardcores. This looks, I like to use this term, but a little bit more westernized and a little bit more palatable to people.
I think so. The barrier of entry isn't as much of a thing as it has been with previous entries, and it's on the PlayStation 4. It's not on a handheld. Like,
that helps.
So there definitely is that. For me, I am such a massive Spider-Man fan, but I gotta say Red Dead Redemption 2. I love westerns. I love westerns so much. I think the GTA series is a bit overrated. Shoot me now. I played through 3, 4, and 5, and I had my time with it as a sandbox to do whatever you want. The games are amazing, but the GTA games, I think the stories are just like super forgettable. Like Michael, Franklin, and Trevor. Like that. Like what was that story about? There were heists. What else happened?
Yes.
What happened at the end of that game? I don't remember. So it's just a lot of like driving from A to B and people talking in cars or some sort of vehicle, right? So, but I thought Red Dead brought like a fresh take on the GTA formula. And I just think the setting in the Wild West is just infinitely more interesting than, whatever, LA or fucking Vice City or New York or, wherever. And those games are great for the sandbox stuff. Like, I've played hours of just GTA 4, going up 5 stars and then hiding in that hospital that there's only one entrance in, and then seeing how long I can last before like the cops shoot me down. So like I've had my fucking fair share of fun with the GTA series. I'm just saying, like, narratively, I'm not really interested in that stuff. I think it's kind of overrated in that regard. But I think Red Dead brings that narrative aspect and the atmosphere. It's like, oh, this is LA. Okay. I've seen LA a million times in movies. Like, so many movies are shot there. Yeah, I've seen Venice Beach, but it's like, oh no, the Wild fucking West, man. Like cowboy hats and what are they called? Stirrups?
I think so. I think we'll go with that.
I should know. Why am I asking you guys? I should know this. But it's just like, and also the story of Bryan Cranston, whatever his name was. No, that's the guy from Breaking Bad. John Marston. It was really good. And then you go to Mexico. Like I really like that game, and it's Rockstar, and they always make a quality product. So I'm just.
Are you a little bit or not worried? Is there any concern that you've got that with the success of GTA Online, which is its own juggernaut, they could release that on its own and make fortunes off, that they might take their focus off what made Red Dead Redemption the original kind of special, like you said, with the atmosphere, the story, and the kind of Wild West aspect, and tune it more towards an online experience and put their focus in that side of the fence rather than what we enjoyed from the first Red Dead?
No. For the fact that they completely separated GTA 5 and GTA Online.
Yeah.
So I think they did that very smartly, that they realized that they're two separate things and they separated them as such. So I don't think that if they had the foresight to do that in a world where any other company would make that one game, I think that Red Dead Redemption 2 will be fine. But there's a lot of games on this list that I'm to be fair, I'm looking forward to all of these games.
Yeah.
And in any other year, if you put Monster Hunter on this list, I wouldn't be looking forward to it. But there's just something about World and it being on the PS4 that's a bit, interesting to me. All right, so let's move into the bread and butter of these predictions. Game of the year. So Tom, what do you want to list them off?
Sure. Okay. We have Horizon Zero Dawn, Persona 5, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, Super Mario Odyssey, and The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
It's quite a list.
Great year.
Let's not get into this conversation now. I don't think PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds should be on this list, but if it's on this list, then I don't think it can be nominated for anything past the year 2017, because no other game on this list gets that right to be nominated in 2018 for anything, unless it's like DLC or something like that. But anyways, if it's on this list, that's fine, as long as it's not nominated for anything in 2018, unless it's like ongoing game or whatever. I just fucking said that. But anyways, said it twice. Tom, so I don't know. What are you thinking? What are you thinking for Game of the Year? What stands out to you?
I think for me, it's looking like Breath of the Wild for me personally. I mean, unfortunately.
So, actually, I should say, sorry, Tom. What of these games have you played?
Yeah. So, I mean, I maybe should have thought about this a bit more before I chose this as my topic. But so I've only done Breath of the Wild. I'm halfway through Horizon Zero Dawn, and that's it. But
all right, okay.
But Super Mario Odyssey looked great, and actually, Mario 64 is my favorite Mario game. Sort of, obviously counting Odyssey. I haven't played it yet.
Prepared to have that knocked down to number 2. I'm just kidding.
Well,
Mario 64
it sounds.
Amazing,
I mean, it sounds the most like 64. Because I know a lot of people kind of said that about Galaxy, but then I didn't. There was, especially with like the planet hopping kind of levels. Like I don't know. I feel like there were moments where it was like 64, but Galaxy obviously kind of did its own thing.
Okay, so I just will say I totally agree with you. Like I played Galaxy and Galaxy 2 just this year for the first time. And I agree with you. They're good, but I don't think they're as good as everyone says they are. And I will say, having played I played those both last year. Having played Galaxy 2 and Odyssey within the past year, I will say that Odyssey is like, it reminded me of my time as a child playing Mario 64.
That's cool.
So,
but I was going to say, the reason why I'm sort of picking Breath of the Wild over Odyssey in that kind of case is, I know it's going to sound a bit reductive, or it's going to sound like like I'm over kind of simplifying things, but it feels, or it seems from the outside that Mario Odyssey is kind of doing the Mario 64 thing, like just better and bigger and better because obviously technology and everything. Whereas I feel with Breath of the Wild, it kind of did reinvent the wheel to some extent, and it's sort of. So I think for me, that's why it gets.
Odyssey is not. Yeah, Odyssey is not a reinvention of the formula.
But then not everything has to be kind of thing.
No,
So
not at all. Not at all.
And also, as well, I suppose, with Zelda, I kind of went into that with maybe not low expectations, but not really sure what to expect, because I know Nintendo kind of said, "Oh, we're doing this open world thing, but it's going to have its Nintendo twist," and and they'd never really done a big, huge open world game before, so it was kind of like, can they even pull it off, kind of thing. So the fact they gave us what they did,
you weren't jumping out of your seat making like 2016 E3 reaction videos or anything that, right?
Not quite. but so I don't know. I think expectation, also has a lot to do with these things, or like how much you enjoy something. And I don't know, maybe it's just a personal thing, but coming off Skyward Sword, I wasn't really they were kind of saying all the right things with open world stuff, but again, there was doubts as to whether Nintendo pulled that off, and I think they did. And so I don't know, it kind of took me by surprise.
Yeah. All right. All right. So, Joe, how about yourself? What stands out? What are you looking at?
Yeah. So I've played all of these games other than Persona 5. So I've got.
Oh, really?
Interesting.
Interesting.
And that's not because I don't like the look of Persona 5. It's something maybe we'll come on to later. But I'm disappointed I didn't get to touch that this year. But the other nominations I've had and played significantly. All of them. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, I probably haven't put as much in as what people are hooked on it, but then I wasn't hooked on it, so I'm not going to sit there and carry on playing it. And I can disclude that from my personal one straight away. I loved Horizon Zero Dawn, as I said earlier. I think I love the combat to it. I love the enemy design, the variety in the enemies, and the tactics that it made me use to take them down. So I think that's definitely a strong contender. Zelda Breath of the Wild... Loved it as well. It's a fantastic video game. I just don't quite buy into it's the second coming of video games quite. I have some problems with that game. Don't get me wrong, it's brilliant, but I really had particularly towards the back end of the second half of my playthrough, I had a real issue with the durability of weapons and that becoming a pain in the arse. I felt like it hamstringed my will or my need or my want to go out and challenge and clear out more camps because I was coming back 2 or 3 weapons short each time.
Yeah, I can see that.
I felt like that was a bit of a misstep that kind of not spoilt the experience because the rest of the game's brilliant, but it was definitely something that's still months and months on. I think back to that game and I think there's still something that I definitely had an issue with.
Right. Well, it gets to the point in that game at some points where like you see a group of enemies and you walk around them because you don't want to break any of your weapons.
It's strange because typically, like if that was say if we go back to Skyrim, like if you kill something, you earn experience and you level up. So you're kind of rewarded.
You get nothing from them. Yeah,
that's the thing. You're not rewarded for doing this. You maybe get a set of rupees. I don't know. It depends on what treasure they've got. But typically, you're going to get a weapon that's worse than what you've got. And you've lost
90% of the time,
and that's where I had the issue that it wasn't rewarding me or encouraging me to go out and seek conflict. Everything else about it, fantastic. But for me, Super Mario Odyssey was just such a joy to play, and we spoke about it in depth earlier. I'm personally going to pin my hat on that one because I've said lots and lots about it today, but it's all positive for that game. Superb.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna go. #2pro on you guys. All right. So Horizon Zero Dawn, I platinumed it. All right. Super Mario Odyssey, 999 moons. You know, that's what this is just what you got to do. This is what I do. Like I wake up and I get 999 moons. I can't even fucking put this on with a straight face. And then Breath of the Wild, I did all 125 shrines. Persona 5, I bought it 6 months before it came out in the States. Played it for 5 hours, and then it came out in the States, and then everyone got farther than me in it, and then I haven't gone back to it yet. So I want to go back to Persona 5 because I love Persona 4. It's it's probably like in my top 20 games of all time, maybe. Not in my top 10, but I love Persona 4. Persona 5 seems like it's scratching that same itch, but I just got caught up with a bunch of games. But like PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, I haven't played it. I watched Giant Bomb play a lot of it, so I kind of understand. And I've heard the Impartialist, Nick Rockcliffe, he fucking loves that game. He's played a ton of it. I've listened to all of it. He talks about it on his podcast a lot, almost every week. Nick, play a different fucking game. Thank you very much. But yeah, I understand why that game is so popular. And but yeah, it's like on three fingers: Horizon Zero Dawn, Super Mario Odyssey, Legend of Zelda. For me, as much as I've fucking poured over Super Mario Odyssey, it's Breath of the Wild for me. Yeah. Yeah, you might have thought I would have gone the other way, but I think like Tom said, it's a reinvention not only of the series, but it's a reinvention of how an open world game works. Like, everyone made fun of like, oh, it's got Ubisoft towers. It's like, yeah, but they actually use it exactly how a tower would work. Where like you climb the tower and then you look out into the distance to what you can see. You use your height as an advantage and then highlight what you think is important, not what the game tells you should be looking at. And just a simple thing like that, it's like you need Nintendo to look at from outside the bubble of open world games, which they don't have any hand in, or hadn't had any hand in at that point. They're looking at it from outside. It's like, how can we make this unique? And it's like, when you see how they did it, it's like, it seems so obvious, but it's like, no one did that. No one said, you make your own map. You highlight stuff on the map.
Remember where it is,
You pin stuff. And then you think like, how did no one do this? But it's just, the game is absolutely amazing. And it's like, funnily enough, Tom, like, leading up to this game, I didn't even know if I was going to buy it because I had such a sour time with Skyward Sword. I hate that game. I think it's one of the worst Zelda games, or worst. This is a terrible game, let alone a Zelda game. And so when Breath of the Wild came out, I was like, you know what? I have a Wii U. I'll buy it. And I had never in quite a long time, like, just thought about, like, I was like eat, sleep, and playing Zelda. That's all. I was at work. All I thought about was Zelda. I woke up early to play it, like I was fucking 7 years old before school. Like, I didn't want to eat because I wanted to play it more. I like 125 or maybe like 120 hours, 130. Like, I just completely, that game took over my life. Like I was a kid again. It took me back to playing Link to the Past and Super Metroid, and just I'd never, and that's, I wasn't one of those people like, oh my God, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, it's going to be the best game ever. I was a bit tepid on it because I was burned by Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword, and but because I liked the series so much, I was like, okay, of course I'm going to play the next Zelda game. We'll see how it goes. And I just like, it was prolific. It's one of the best games ever made, and I think not only I think it's going to win for sure, hands down, and I also think it deserves to win.
I think I would, if it's not going to Odyssey, then Zelda is definitely a close second, because despite my kind of issues with it, everything you've said there is completely resonating with me again. So I think Nintendo have got this on lockdown, whatever happens, unless the PUBG crowd get some votes.
I mean, I highly
I checked the voting criteria, how it's split between audience and the jury, and it's 90% jury and 10% audience. So I don't think, even if you know the tens of millions of PUBG users all voted and used it every day, they would be able to shift it enough. So I think the jurors will have our backs here and give it to what we feel deserves it.
I think PUBG fans are too busy playing PUBG to fucking vote, to be honest.
That's a good point. Yeah, it is.
So OTTAPPS, Joe, I'm sorry to disappoint.
It's fine. I will remember this though.
But Okay. So let me hand out an olive branch to you. If Super Mario Odyssey wins, I won't bat an eye. I'll smile and do a slow clap.
Same with me
by myself in my apartment.
I'll smile as well because they're both excellent games.
But I think hands down Zelda's going to swallow a lot of these. A lot of these, or because you think about the politics of video games, they know it's going to win Game of the Year, so they'll give some of the other awards to other games and then reserve Game of the Year for Zelda. But whatever, that's fine with me. I think it wholeheartedly deserves it. The game is absolutely amazing. I cannot wait for the I was going to say the Christmas DLC.
Well,
the Champions DLC. Yeah. So Joe.
Yes.
Past the Game Awards, moving on to our next topic. Joe, what is your topic of the show?
Yeah, so I thought since we're kind of approaching the end of 2017 and most of the big releases are now out, I mean, we've just had probably Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which is dropped. That's probably the last, I would say, large release of a standalone game that's coming.
You forgot PUBG. It's dropping in December.
Oh, yeah, the 1.0. Then it'll be eligible for the Game Awards. So maybe don't bring up that one.
Sorry.
That's all right. It could be time for us to kind of take stock and look back at some of the games that we inevitably wanted to play but have failed to do so. So I'd be really interested to hear some of the stuff that you had earmarked, early on in the year. Think I'm definitely going to play that. And some of the ones that kind of got away and that you regret and want to rectify. I don't know, Tom, if you want to start, if you've got any of those games that you think you've missed out on and want to go back and get back.
Well, I suppose my big one kind of leads off from the last discussion, really, which is Odyssey. Unfortunately, I haven't got a Switch yet. I mean, I only just got the PS4, so maybe in another 4 years' time, I'll get around to Odyssey maybe. But,
I bought my PS3 in 2012.
Okay.
and then I bought my PS4 last year.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised I fucking have a Switch. I should be planning to buy that thing 3 years from now. But yeah.
But I was going to say something that is kind of interesting about that. Well, it's not really interesting, but it's funny that what with the whole upgraded consoles, PS4 Pro, Xbox One X. I have a Wii U, and I reckon Super Mario Odyssey could run on a Wii U. But because the Switch,
I totally think it's fucking 5 gigs.
Yeah,
and the game is
easy.
Because the Switch is called the Switch and not the Wii U Pro, which I'm not suggesting they should have called it that. No one's really, talking about that sort of or saying so. And I guess it's just because everyone is waiting for the Wii U to die years ago. But
well, you look at what Evan's done. He's gone and bought a Switch. Maybe not just for Mario Odyssey, but I'm sure that twisted your arm a little bit, thinking now that Mario's out, I'm gonna go get a Switch.
It gave me something to okay, this game's coming out. Okay, now I should buy a Switch.
Yeah, which is what they wanted.
It set up a pinpoint to buy the Switch.
Yeah.
But yeah, who knows? Maybe Mario Odyssey will be my inside for you last year. Evan, where you played it after you'd done all your Game of the Year award stuff, and then you were like, this should have won, I should have nominated this. So maybe I'll end up being on your side, Joe, of that Game of the Year conversation in 2020 or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
You'll get a little notification on your SIP.
That's a big one. And another thing about Super Mario Odyssey as well is so I live in Japan. I often get to see my family every 3 years or so, but my brother came to Japan to visit, and then the day before he left back to the States, so I got my Switch, I got Mario Odyssey, and we had spent so much time just traveling around Japan and going places and sightseeing and stuff. We thought, okay, the day before you leave, I just got my Switch. Let's just sit down and fucking play some video games. and we played Super Mario Odyssey all day.
Yeah.
And it's like I was back hanging out with my brother, playing Super Mario 64 on the sofa when I was, how old was I? 11 years old. And it was just so cool to have that moment of like, it just reverted back to that pure joy of just a 3D platformer. And it's just like, yeah, like I remember like, this is how it was. It wasn't fucking complicated like The Witcher. And I'm not slagging these games off for anything like that. It's just a different kind of game. It was just, I mean, we already talked about this, trim the fat, pure joy, simplicity of playing this game. But yeah, it was great. And I think, I don't know, Tom, I played both games and I still come up Zelda. You'll have to get back to me on that when you eventually get a Switch in 5 years.
Yeah.
So when I'm 37, just send me a message.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I'll have the same email address unless Kim Jong-un fucking blows Japan up with a missile. But yeah, if I'm still alive and you actually even bought a fucking Switch, let me know. I'm interested to know which one comes up to win the what do you call it?
Trumps? Comes up Trumps?
Something like that. Yeah, something about
Can you say Trump these days? Is that allowed? I don't know. I might have upset people.
I don't know, man. Hey, you're fucking crossing the line here. I do have the I have the beep sound sitting in GarageBand just waiting. All right. Great game, and yeah, it's definitely a game that you should pick up if you do in fact get a Switch, Tom. I hope you do soon.
Yeah,
because the game's amazing.
I also want those 2 red Joy-Cons as well. So,
yeah, it's lovely. Yeah, too bad that fucking bundle is a massive ripoff. Otherwise, I would have bought it. It's like totally overpriced.
Oh, really?
They throw in they throw in like a case, like this shitty case with Cappy on it. It's like, oh, it's whatever X amount more. It's like, no, it's cheaper just to get a Switch and buy the game.
Yeah.
A warp pipe tote bag.
Yeah. but that color is definitely like a deep Liverpool red. So I was really I was looking at that red. I'm like, oh, that's very enticing. But I went for the old neon red, neon blue, which is the only Joy-Con color. Don't get those gray ones.
Well, I've got a grey one staring right at me now, but we'll move on.
Well, this is awkward.
It's all crumbling, isn't it?
Oh shit, yeah. All right, so Joe, what games have you missed in 2017 that you want to get to play at some point?
Yeah, I've got several. There's always several games I want to play. I feel like based on what you spoke about earlier around the narrative side of things, Nier Automata is one that I should make and will make a conscious effort to play. Because, like I said at the top of the show, I've been trying to branch out and play stuff I hadn't experienced before, and that's why Yakuza 0 was installed this year and is being played through. And Nier was part of that plan, but I think what happened is that I allowed, and this is just a personal term what I use, I allowed what I call poison to cloud my judgment of this game before buying it. And what I mean by poison is when someone says something negative about a game or there is a negative connotation associated with it, and before you've even played it, you kind of think, I've got so much to play, I can just write that one off because of this issue. And in Nier's case, it was the whole, you've got to complete the game a dozen times before getting the true ending, which I know is totally not true, but when I had kind of justified it to myself, I was like, well, I can't play the same game 4 times over and over.
Right.
And without investigating it, I kind of thought I'll give that a miss, and that's something I'm determined to correct when it comes to 2018 for sure. So,
I think that game is similar to Odyssey in the way it's like, you can beat the game, but you haven't beaten the game yet.
Yeah. And I struggle with games like that sometimes if they're not engaging
definitely.
like Odyssey was. I look at Shadow of War, for example. I got through the first kind of 3 acts of that, and then you get to an end game piece, and I was done. I was not interested in continuing that game and getting like the unlocking the last credit. I looked it up on YouTube because
that might be the most disappointing game for me. Like,
Yeah.
I fucking loved the first game so much. I absolutely love that game, and all the news around Shadow War just totally turned me off to it.
Yeah, I mean, I stuck through and got through most of it, but then it got to that last. It's like the last 10% of the game, but it takes probably 15 hours on its own. I was like,
so the fucking loot boxes do matter.
Well,
Like,
this is
when you
earlier on when I had a good and a bad, didn't I? What I'd completed bad was Shadow of War, so I had I was going to talk about that piece, and I've labeled it Shadow of Bore cleverly.
Yeah.
But
I love how you, if you have to say that it was clever, you might want to rethink.
It's probably not as clever. I heard a slight delay in the laugh and thought I better just try and save myself, but I've made it worse.
No, it's to be fair, I haven't heard that in any review header, so
no,
you might be the first one to say that.
Yeah, I love the look of it as well. I like all the pre-release footage around the fortresses and the Nemesis system being expanded. I was like, yes,
look great. Yeah, look great.
But the gameplay loop is just didn't expand enough, and I found it really shallow, really repetitive, and the game was just so bloated. Like, it was big for big sake, and I get really frustrated with games that do that, because I'm not being funny. We love playing video games, but you don't want to play something for 50, 60 hours that you're not engaged with and not enjoying. And the end part is a very, very long grind, or it seemed to be. I got a little way through, and I was like, you know what? I'm not up for this at all. And I think if you loved the loop of that game, if you loved killing the orcs and doing that, then you probably would get through that fine. But you look at those microtransactions there, you're thinking this could easily make this part a lot shorter. And what's really offensive to me is they lock that final cutscene away behind completion of the end game, which I call that a bastard move.
Shit. That's so shit.
Sorry, that was a bit of a tangent.
Yeah, no, it's like I just before I jumped into the fuck am I playing right now? Oh, The Lost Legacy. I just beat Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah.
And Chapter 2 was so disappointing because it's like that game should have ended with Chapter 1.
Yep.
And it just kept going on, and it was so bloated. I'm like, why am I doing the same fucking side missions I've been doing 40 hours ago?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Hey, let me guess. You're going to drop me either in fucking Zaire or whatever in Afghanistan. I have to extract someone or kill someone.
Yeah.
Like, same fucking thing. It fucking drove me nuts. But anyways, all right. Games we missed. Wait, were you finished, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, I've got Nier on there. I'll list off the other ones. We don't have to talk about them in depth. But What Remains of Edith Finch, Hellblade, Persona 5, and Sonic Mania. They are my other ones that I want to get through and play in the near future. So we'll see how that goes.
Yep. Yeah, Sonic Mania is definitely on my list. That looks all sorts of fun.
Getting that on the Switch.
It's so funny how Sega doesn't get what good Sonic is, that they have to have somebody else
farm it out to fans, essentially.
To fans to make a good Sonic game.
Yeah.
And then after fans make a good Sonic game, they make the same shit that they've been shoveling for years. It's just like I don't get it. It's a fucking joke. And then Nintendo releases Odyssey, which is just like, it's just like, it makes everything old new again, everything boring vibrant again, pure joy. It's like Sonic is such a sad series. It's just like, it's just a shell of its former self. And I'm actually currently reading Console Wars, which is a great book that highlights how Sega stood up to Nintendo in the 90s and made Sonic a thing, and made Sega like gain market share up to like 50%. They went from like 10% to like 50%, and fought Mario during the 90s, and all that stuff. It's a really, really good book. But anyways, moving on to games that I missed. I'm going to do a quick rundown of all the games that I want to play, and then just kind of talk about maybe one or two in depth. Resident Evil 7, Neo, Hollow Knight. I love my Metroidvanias. I Am Setsuna. I played a demo of Lost Sphere. Sorry. It was okay. Nier Automata. That's one of my highlights, Joe, that we talked about. Yeah, that's definitely for the reasons that we discussed. I want to play that. Persona 5. I bought that game a year ago. I only played 6 hours of it. I really need to get back into it. Little Nightmares. I love the art. I love the art. I love the aesthetic of it, and it seems like compact enough a game to get through, or like probably in one sitting.
Yeah.
Seiken Densetsu Collection, which is the Secret of Mana collection available on the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
I love Secret of Mana. It's one of my favorite games of all time, and it also includes Secret of Mana 2, which is Seiken Densetsu 3, which I haven't played. Want to get around with that. Dragon Quest 11 seems like a really old school RPG, JRPG, I should say. I've never really been a Dragon Quest fan. I don't even think I've ever played a Dragon Quest game, which is probably sacrilege to some, especially someone who like really likes JRPGs. Like I grew up playing them, but I kind of fell off the older I got. Not to say that I was one of those people that thought it was uncool to play JRPGs. I just kind of moved away from them to play other genres.
Yeah.
But Dragon Quest 11 kind of looks like an old school JRPG, like not Neo, but Ni no Kuni was.
Yes.
And just kind of looking at the parallels there, it's like I could probably get into that game. SteamWorld Dig 2 just came out in Japan on the Switch. So I've heard great things about that game. You say Metroidvania, I say here's my money, usually. After reading a couple reviews, right? Gold Story, that's not a game. I think I mean Golf Story.
Yeah, I believe that to be true. Golf
Story, yeah. And in tandem with that, Stardew Valley, both are on the Switch. They seem like a perfect match for the Switch. I haven't played either. I've heard great things about both, so I think I'm going to pick them up. I take the train to work every day. Seems like a perfect train ride game.
Yep.
And then, oh my god, next Thursday, I already pre-ordered it like a fucking sad sack. Yakuza Kiwami 2.
Yes.
No release date yet in the States.
No.
But it's in the new Dragon engine, which is an engine that was developed for the PlayStation 4.
Was Kiwami the original in that Dragon engine, or did they just rebuff the original?
No. So basically, Yakuza 0 and Yakuza Kiwami are off the same engine, which is but it was split. It was a PS3, PS4 game. So basically, it was a PS3 game. Kiwami came out in like 2014.
Yeah.
So that's why when you look at, and I think 0 came out around the same time. So that's when you look at 0 and Kiwami, you're like, this game looks like a bit rough. It's like, it came out like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was made for the PlayStation 3. But it just with localization and all the time it took.
Fucking ages,
it came out in 2017. So there's that. Now, fucking Yakuza 6 isn't even out in the Western territories yet.
No.
It's coming out in March, I think. Came out last year in December. That game was solely developed for the PlayStation 4 in the new engine. So Yakuza Kiwami 2 is in the same engine as Yakuza 6.
Yeah. Coming
out next week. I already pre-ordered it. Really looking forward to it. Probably going to talk about it at length next podcast. But I really want to play Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
That reveal fucking made the hair on my back stand up.
Yeah.
I thought it was a Silent Hill game just because the song sounded so Silent Hilly.
Did you?
And the fact that they.
Sorry, go on.
No, the fact that they diverged away from what we expect from a Resident Evil game.
Yeah.
So much just surprised the hell out of me. And not only that, but it was like everyone who's played it and has said great things about it. Like no one trashed it. I haven't heard anyone really dislike it. And I love horror games. I love Silent Hill. I love Dead Space.
Yeah.
So really looking forward to it.
Did you play in the demos they released for Resident Evil 7?
Oh yeah, I played through the demo.
Yeah.
I played through the first demo like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, same here, yeah.
Yeah, I just really like kind of prodding that world to see like what was possible.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would say out of all of those, like I'm going to play Yakuza Kiwami next week, so that's not really a game I missed. It's not even fucking out yet. So I'd say Resident Evil 7 and Nier Automata are like the 2 top on my list that I really need to get to. But yeah, it's 2017. What a year.
Yeah, it's been
for games.
Insane.
Amazing.
Loving it.
Loving it. I would say if you cheated and did December 2016 to February of 2018, which if you think about it sounds really long, but that's only a year and 3 months.
Yeah.
That would be the best year and 3 months of video games in the history of video games. Because what that allows me to do is include... oh, shit. When does Shadow of the Colossus remake come out? It might be March. Okay. The year and 4 months, the best year and 4 months of video games, because that also allows me to include Yakuza 6, the Fist of the North Star game by the people who make the Yakuza series, and Shadow of Colossus among
everything else.
Breath of the Wild, Horizon Zero Dawn, Super Mario Odyssey. Holy shit. Yeah. So, basically within the past year in a couple months, it's been crazy. And it's gonna be a good. I'm really looking forward to all the year-end deliberation stuff that all the outlets do. It's something that actually we're gonna do as well in some form or another. So stay tuned for that. But moving on to the end of the show, podcastreload@gmail.com, podcast_reload on Twitter, at @thestanduser on sifted.net. If you want to join us on the show, then you can reach us at any one of those places, just like our brand new guests did. Give us your mic make email address, your Skype name, and what time you're available on the weekend, and we will get you on the show. So even after 2 years of doing this show, even though there's only 49 episodes, still getting new people on, and we love it. And I believe Tom and OTTAPPS Joe, as I've called you when we were little kids, OTTAPPS Joe. I imagine you want to be on the reoccurring guest list.
Absolutely.
Sure, yeah. Stick me on there.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, so signing off with goodbye, Twitter handles, thank yous, etc. Tom, got a Twitter handle? Anything you wanna talk about in closing comments?
My Twitter handle is the same as my Sifted, so it's cartoon_Tom. I don't tweet an awful lot, to be fair, but I do. Yeah, I think quite a few people on Sifted have followed back and whatnot. I mainly use Twitter for. I'm obsessed with these small little creatures called pika, and
Pika.
I mainly just like photos of them on Twitter.
Wait,
where is this going?
So
yeah, where is this going? I didn't expect this. I thought we had this all mapped out. How do you spell it?
Just Pika. And in fact, there is a breed that lives in Japan actually. So if you're near some mountainous region, you can go check out a pika.
What are you doing? What are you going on about? What is this?
But
What the?
Sorry,
Wow.
sorry. I mentioned
on?
Twitter, and then, like I say, I felt an urge to confess. We're gonna say if anyone gets a notification saying Cartoon Tom has liked the thing, it's probably going to be a pika, and yeah, I apologize for that.
This might be the best description of a mammal in the history of anything. A small, short-legged, and virtually tailless, egg-shaped mammal. Wow. That's what a pika is.
They sure are.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
A small, short-legged, and virtually tailless, egg-shaped mammal. Okay, so please look up Pika on the internet immediately, and you'll be graced with the presence of a pika. A mammal that I didn't know existed until literally, 30 seconds ago. But that's why we have new guests on the show.
Exactly.
So, Tom, thank you for that. Anything else? You tweet about pikas from time to time?
I don't often tweet about them. I just appreciate them with a like
from afar.
Oh god, there's a pika that's been painted as a Pikachu. You have to find this.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
But
I like where this is all
going. I think
going.
I've said enough in this section.
All right. And Joe, how about yourself? Where can we find you? Any shout outs, Twitter handles, anything of the sort?
Yeah, I mean, I can't follow up on the pika revelation, obviously. I do have Twitter. It is OTTAPPS, @OTTAPPS, but I don't really tweet a lot, so I would not recommend following that. Instead, follow at Dimp Digital, or go to youtube.com/Dimp Digital. Or if you're into podcasting, follow or look for Dimp Digital Unplugged, which is a audio version of all the kind of features and things that I do on the internet with me and a few friends from around this area. So if you're interested in any other video game stuff, then Dimp Digital is the place to find what I'm up to in my spare time.
Lovely. And you can always catch me at The Stand User on Sifted Giant Bomb and Twitter. Jesus is coming. 2018.
Pika's coming.
As you, yeah, the Pikas are coming too. I think Jesus is going to descend upon us riding a Pika.
Everyone would be like, "What's that small egg-shaped, virtually tailless animal Jesus is upon?"
Holding the sword of Jesus, riding the Pika to judge us all. So you better fucking
get your shit together.
Very good. Or else, yeah, he feeds you to the Pika. All right, that's gonna do us here at Podcast Reload, episode 49. We wish you a merry first week of December, and Jesus is watching, so don't fuck up for at least the next 24 days. It's December 1st, at least in Japan, so that's why I said 24 days. All right, that's going to do us all at Podcast Reload. Everyone have a good weekend. Good week. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, cheers.